obviously, it's been a long time coming. This is one of the first. It's going to be one of the first episodes that we come back with. Obviously, evolving through experience been around since 2018. But we'll get into that while we just now getting back, not without the excuses though. But let's start from the beginning, bro. Obviously, first and foremost, I can't introduce you as best as you can, but obviously, we've been friends, more like brothers now since high school, and that relationship has just pretty much grown since then. But obviously, let's just get straight into it. First, how you remember how we met?
It's crazy.
I know it was, no, I know it was high school, but I don't know exactly how.
Yeah, I
we
can't
met. Do you
remember the exact day. I think it was I know it was like I want to say I was in 10th grade. You was a freshman, I believe, right? Or
Nah, I wasn't a freshman
wasn't a
out here.
freshman.
Yeah. I came in 10th grade, so you was a class above me.
Yeah, so
I
that
think
means
you
we
was,
met senior year then.
yeah.
Well, my senior year.
Yeah, your
Yours
senior year. Okay.
Yeah, you were a junior.
So I met junior when okay, cool. All right, boom. I don't know exactly how we met, like you said. So, but I do know you was always like you was always laid back. Still are.
For
I
sure.
think that's what made us vibe because it was just like I know I was selling like snacks and stuff like that. I was about to say stuff, but we don't want to get the wrong message out.
Yeah, for sure.
So selling snacks, I think that's probably how we met. You probably met me through buying a snack. I don't know. But obviously since then, I know the relationship has grown, and we always had that same mindset on just staying focused, growing or whatnot. So before we even get into it, like, do you know a time where, from you personally, where you've been overwhelmed?
Yeah, I definitely.
Give us an example.
Yeah, bro. I would say, shoot, a definite time that I was overwhelmed was just last month. I was planning planning a wedding.
Amazing wedding though. I just want to go on record saying
so
that.
I definitely would say that was a time that was pretty stressful. But I mean, you got to show up.
Facts.
But I look at like stressful moments in life as opportunities really to grow, to be honest, because I think that your best performances, your best efforts really come out when sometimes you feel like your back may be against a wall. So I look forward to sometimes those moments, to be honest.
No, I'm glad you said that because honestly, that's exactly what evolving through experience is about. Like, it's so many things I can say about evolving through experience, but just for the lack of keeping it simple, and not trying to try to show somebody, it's just better. I'm just going to go through example. So with that being said, obviously we know you don't talk about this side as much as far as being adopted. And so can we go into that, because like you said, obviously when your back is against the wall, and I feel like obviously that's a reason where you are who you are today, regardless of how some people look at it and be like, oh, that's a bad thing. You see the positive in it, and it's made you who you are today. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I feel like for me, being adopted as, one of those planned adoptions, being a day old, I think it really brought out really the best in me, to be real with you. 'Cause I feel like in life I've always felt like I can't count on anybody. So it's like instead of me expecting to count on people or expecting myself to rely on people, I've never really relied on anybody, but I just kind of go out there and do it myself. So I think that's super important.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, me being adopted, kind of carrying that kind of lone wolf kind of mentality. That's, been a huge benefit for me. Even at 11, 12 years old. And to your point, like, I'm very laid back, but a lot of times I'm just quiet and observe, just because I know there's a lot to learn from just sitting back and listening instead of speaking.
Agree. So when can you say that transition happened? Because obviously, as like you said, a day old, I can only imagine like knowing you're adopted. Obviously, you didn't know it at a day old, but when you coming up at a young age and you're not processing things how you are now, you realize, you find out, or however it was told to you, that, oh, you've been adopted. Not necessarily your biological parents didn't want you. I don't know how it was said, but more of like, how did you avoid that feeling? And then when did you transition and be like, okay, I'm thankful for it happened this way because now I can see the positive, and this is what made me who I am today.
Yeah, because I feel like, for me, I don't really know what could have been, right? I try not to live life with what ifs or what could have, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know what situation I would have been in outside of the situation I'm in right now. And, you got to look at it as like, hey, the grass isn't always greener on the other side, but make the best of the cards that you're dealt, or the hand that you're dealt.
Agree.
So for me, that's my reality, is like, I'm super grateful for how things have turned out. And I think a lot of other people probably would have folded.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I just think, I think highly of myself when it comes to that.
Okay, and then so with that being said, I'm glad you said that, because like you said, a lot of people else would have folded from situations like that in particular. So what is like intangible
Yeah.
thought you can give somebody, like let's just say somebody that's in middle school, and let's
Hmm.
just say, because when did you find out?
I found out actually when I was like 8, so I think I was like in third grade.
Third grade. So
Hmm.
they just came out and told you, or how did that work?
Nah, so really what it was, I actually was going to school and I was realizing like, hey, I'm the only kid that doesn't look like the rest of their parents. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like when I'm seeing, kids, parents come in,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's their birthday, they're dropping cupcakes
Yeah.
off, or they just coming for a parent teacher conference, whatever they might be coming for. I realize I'm like, dang, my friend Shane, he looked just like his mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dang, my friend Paul, he looked just like, his dad. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just realizing all these different
Mm-hmm.
things and I'm seeing it. I'm like, yo, they all look like their parents, but why don't I look like my mom and my dad? You know
Fact.
what I'm saying? So as a young kid, I feel like a lot of times you kind of know something's up, but you
Yeah.
don't quite have all the answers. You
Yeah.
feel me? So yeah, that's
Nah,
how I found out. So I went
makes
and
sense.
asked
Mm-hmm.
and got the answers that I wanted. So yeah.
Immediately. No, that's good, and I could only obviously no I could commend you for that for several things. For one, it says a lot about you to even realize that in the third grade. Most people, kids, they not thinking on a high level intellectual quote to say to be able to even process something like that. So you
Hmm.
processing that at a young age, and that's why you are where you are today too. Like obviously, even with the stock market, and we'll go to that a little later on. But as far as that being noticed at that age, that's commendable, and I think we got to definitely like make sure that's noted. So, and also I want to say, shout out to your. I ain't gonna say you prefer me to say adopted parents or how you prefer your
No, you can
moms.
say
Well,
yeah, yeah, my
okay,
mom's,
your
yeah.
moms. I met your mom, so at the end of the day, it's also a respect to them and commend because like they immediately told you because I know situations where kids don't find that out
Yeah,
and
don't
they've
find
been
out.
avoided for so long. Even now, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's not my place to say something, but I can see where that could be future turmoil because it's
Hmm.
not stated up front,
Yeah.
or you lied about it now, and it's like. And but then again, I could imagine the predicament because it's like, how do you tell them, explain this to a young kid that
True.
maybe their parents decided to adopt or give them away because not necessarily they didn't care, but maybe they just felt they wasn't in the right place to pretty much take care of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I definitely just want to say I commend that. So what would you say to a
Hmm.
3-year old, not a 3-year old, but a kid that's around that age or whatnot that's just finding this out? What intangibles would you give him now to say, oh yeah, you're adopted? Although just found out you're adopted, what could you give them that could somewhat help them?
Yeah, I would say just really being yourself and don't worry too much about comparison to
Mm-hmm.
others. I think sometimes when you kind of feel excluded, you start to kind of go through those different comparison
Mm-hmm.
factors of, okay, well, my friends have this, but I don't have this. Like,
Yeah.
I would stay away from stuff like that. That would be one piece of advice that I could give to
Vital
people.
advice because
Yeah,
we still got to do that to this day, no matter
yeah,
what
yeah,
age. So yeah.
yep.
Okay, cool. So now that being you said that, being that we just kind of got straight to it, I know that has a huge impact on you being a parent now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a parent of a daughter and a son.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that. Like as far as
Mm-hmm.
before we even get to it, how that affects it. But when did you find out? Like how did you find out you was going to be a parent or whatnot? Like how was
So
it? Because was it planned or it was like unplanned?
nah, it
Okay.
wasn't planned, but it was. I would say when you asked the question, I think it was in the beginning when you talk about stressful.
Mm-hmm. Overwhelmed. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, overwhelmed
Overwhelming. Yeah.
when you asked me. My first my when I found out I was having a girl the first time, it was definitely some stress involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a point where there was some uncertainty of whether the baby was mine or not. You
Okay.
get what I'm saying?
That's
So
a whole nother
that
factor.
was
Okay.
a whole nother type
Mm-hmm.
of stressful overwhelmingness. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there was some thoughts there. You fortunately, ended up being my
Yeah.
daughter. Grateful
Facts.
for that,
Of course.
and have a great relationship. Spend so much time where it's amazing. So grateful for
Mhm.
that. So yeah, I mean, as far as like when I first, me becoming a parent, I think that was a parent even at a younger age, just really was super important because
Mhm.
you think about it, I'm adopted, but I'm also a parent now.
Yeah.
So now I kind of get to give my kids everything
You
that
didn't.
I didn't
Mhm.
have. You feel me? So
Yeah.
kind of like so it's a great thing in my
Facts.
opinion.
No,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because like I know, and the reason I was playing because I was just like I know that could add another factor if it's like it just pops up and we still was trying to figure out life because obviously that would happen in high school. You had your daughter like
Yeah.
well coming out of high
Yeah,
school,
pretty much
so
coming
I
out of high
know.
school.
Yeah, I remember. And then
My
boom.
daughter pretty much came like a week before graduation. So
Oh
yeah.
word. Oh, I thought she
Yeah.
came. Wait, so oh yeah, I'm tripping because you graduated before me. I'm bugging because I know you when you came to my party, the graduation party. I know
Yep.
that's when you sent the picture, so maybe I got the dates mixed up.
Yep.
Okay, so cool. So now I'm glad you said that because at the end of the day, being a parent, I think that's so vital, and that's why I wanted to ask because I know that could have an effect. But like you said, your mindset is different with it. So I knew obviously having a parent, knowing you being adopted, you were more than likely to be like, yo, like I had made a decision to keep like mine because like this is something that you it's
Hmm.
so close to home, like knowing
Yeah,
like oh
bro.
possibly you
Super
didn't.
important, bro. I definitely think it's super important in my story. So
Hmm.
definitely something to be grateful for. And then plus, at the end of the day, not everyone even gets to have kids too, which
Exactly.
is a whole separate conversation.
Nah,
You know what
nah,
I'm saying?
we could talk about that. Like I said, we're just gonna let it flow because at the end of the day, with me finding out I was about to become a parent, it was just more like I was in shock. I really like this crazy. It's a whole story behind this how I found out. But I had a migraine, like a migraine. You know, it's a difference between migraine and a
Hmm.
headache. Like when I found out I had a migraine, I was just like, yo, like wait, what? Like I was just like back and forth. Obviously, I didn't have no thoughts of like was it mine or not. It was just more like the transition, everything where I was at in life at the time was just like
Hmm.
I'm transitioning to a whole nother level, like just growing and evolving. So with the second time when you had this your son,
Hmm.
do you say what did you learn between having your
Hmm.
first kid between having a son, like where you say you can improve because I know parenthood is like
Mm.
it's real, like
Yeah, I would say being present more. I
hmm
think definitely was where areas you could improve upon. Like I
hmm
guess I would say throughout that transition. And then the second go around, you kind of know the ropes a little bit more too.
hmm
Just like
yeah
anything, the second time around of anything you do, you're probably gonna be a little bit better at it in
yeah
general.
agree.
So yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
I appreciate that because I tell you all the time, like even outside of this, like you inspire me more on especially the parent side to see what we can accomplish. Because like obviously, I felt like in my time, obviously just not about me, but just it's about evolving through experience. And this is just another example for me. But it was just like I'm in a better place in my life, even like financially, and then I'm growing. I'm seeing where I could like really take my
Hmm.
life to a whole nother level. And then it's like I found out I'm having a kid,
Yeah,
so it's just like I know the stigma is like I know people that struggle with having kids. Obviously, like our parents to some degree having kids early and it's not
yeah,
planned. It's just like
yeah,
okay, the financial side of things, and then
yeah.
even though I realized at that moment financial was just so small part of the equation because
Hmm.
it's more of a spiritual and emotional things that you got to deal with having a
Yeah.
kid. The financial is just a small part. So
Hmm.
let's just say somebody that's fresh out of high school
Hmm.
that's like don't know what they're about to do next to their life for whatever reason and they not there financially, but they just find they had a kid, about to have a kid. What advice could you give them?
I would just say get to work, man. You really got to get to work.
Facts.
You get what I'm saying?
Facts.
Because you got someone else
Hmm.
depending on you is gonna be breathing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And your blood to be coursing through their veins. So
Hmm.
I just think the best piece of advice that I can give you is really audit your circle too. Change who you might be hanging around
Hmm.
because you're gonna
That
go through
matters.
a dynamic shift. So you need to surround yourself with the right people to make
Hmm.
sure that you're leveling yourself up. But I think there's a lot of people that we can look at and see like, hey, they had kids at certain times
Hmm.
where it was like, man, I'm kind of younger in my career,
Hmm.
and I'm trying to establish things and like figure
Yeah.
things out. Even like you take a look at somebody like LeBron. Like LeBron had his son, and he was like still like he was like in his early 20s,
Hmm.
still fresh in the NBA, still
Yeah.
trying to fit. He didn't even win a championship
Yeah.
yet. So, but you could definitely tell that him having his son Bronny, definitely made him a better person
Agree.
on and off the court. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? So, I think I think kids for the person that's gonna be motivated the right way could really be a life changing thing. That's really a super benefit
Hmm.
because I think it just gives you that extra
Extra push.
motivation.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes if you don't really have nothing to like go out there and grind for, you could sometimes maybe get a little complacent
Hmm.
or a little bit comfortable. But if
Agreed.
you know that hey, there's something out there that you have to go the extra mile for, that could be a difference maker.
Yeah,
So
and with no excuses, and even with that, it's like you said, you got to have that mindset because it's some parents that's not going to care, not going to go the extra mile, not going to be
yeah.
present, not going to be active, and it's like it's already a difference right there between those two.
Hmm.
So, but first again, let's just say like, yo, your wedding was amazing. So I want to transition into getting married.
Hmm.
Obviously, which was just happened a few weeks ago. which was an amazing wedding. I gotta go on record. I
For
still
sure.
talking about that wedding.
For
So
sure.
yeah, that wedding was lit. So let's talk about it. So being married, how did you even meet Kim? How you met Kim?
Yeah, bro. So I actually met my wife actually. It was actually on Clubhouse.
Okay,
She started following me because of the things that I,
putting out.
putting out content, dealing with the stock market,
Mm-hmm.
investing everything that I do, now. So, and then we ended up just actually connecting and meeting in person, and the rest is history from there.
Okay, cool. So on Clubhouse. So Clubhouse, oh yeah, bag to some degree, right?
Yeah, I
To
guess
some
so.
degree. Okay, cool.
Some degree. Yeah.
Nah, facts. Okay, so let's say as far as like advice for marriage, obviously you got married. I ain't even gonna say young because I don't want to put that narrative out there. I think everything, just like even with parenthood, people say, "Oh, you got had a kid too young," and then some people say you had a kid too late.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's like I don't even want to go with that
Yeah, it's
narrative
just
because
kind
I
of
feel like
yeah,
everything, no matter when you have it, it's like it's still gonna be a learning process.
yeah.
So, but just for the lack of a better word, let's just say people that saying you got married young, like what is your advice to somebody else that's looking
Hmm.
to do that
Yeah.
or whatever? Like, what's your
Yeah,
advice?
I think it just has to happen naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes, well, I won't say sometimes, I would say that most times in life, the things that you want to happen when you least expect it.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Agreed.
think that sometimes, especially when we're thinking about today, if you go on social media right now, there's probably a bunch of videos that are probably like with people sitting just like
Mm-hmm.
this, talking to you about how to get in a
Yeah.
relationship, or you got girls on podcasts saying
Mm-hmm.
this is how you get a high value man, or you
Mm-hmm.
got dudes on podcasts talking about what women to date and what
Mm-hmm.
women not to date. Should a woman cook? Should she clean? Still
Yeah.
in 20? Like you're gonna see all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and I just call that just garbage
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because it's just like you're listening to people. Majority of those people are not in healthy relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of those people are not actually married, but they're
That part.
telling you what kind of people you should be dating,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not even dating those kind of people.
Exactly.
So I look at it like this, bro. I just think that people should be focused on themselves and let things happen in their lives naturally, and don't try to play the comparison, because I think a lot of times, especially with our generation, like it's easy for a girl to be like, man, this girl, she's always on vacation. I want a
Mm-hmm.
dude like that. But little do
Yeah.
she know, it's not even a dude that's taking her on
Mm-hmm.
vacation. Her parents are.
Yeah.
But she's giving this illusion that maybe this dude is buying her these luxury items
Mm-hmm.
or going on vacations, and it's a dude,
Facts.
but in reality it's her mom and dad.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like there's a lot of things that cause a false reality
Mm-hmm.
and a false illusion. And I
Facts.
think that as a young man in today's society, you're 23,
Mm-hmm.
24, you're going out here in the dating scene, you're courting a lady
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking potentially to get married maybe in a few years or whatever the case may be. Just I would say, vet them properly, and that word I think has been used a lot when you talk about vet. But I
Mm-hmm.
think figure out who that person actually really is
Yeah.
before you're making
Exactly.
those type commitments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that overall, I think that for our age, bro, I'll be honest, I think a lot of marriages won't even happen. So I don't think a lot of people our age will end up getting married in the first place.
I could agree
And
with that.
and and I think that the people that do, um, I think that they have to. I think the people that end up getting married, I think they'll end up staying married a lot
Mm-hmm.
more. Because I think that the people that won't get married will be the ones that, if they were to have gotten married, they'll probably be the ones that end up getting the divorces.
Divorce makes
But I
sense.
think
I'm
that
glad you
the
said that.
people in our generation, they'll if they get married, I think for the most part, a lot of them will stay together because they got married for the right reasons.
Agree. Okay, I'm glad you said that, and I'm gonna double back to that part because even like you said, the image that could be put out there, it's like the intangibles of where they may do show the positive on social media, but let's talk about them behind the scenes,
Hmm.
spiritual, emotional warfares that people be dealing with on our own, like myself included, like over the course of time that we've been
Hmm.
alive. So like that's another part that's like so vital. People don't want to talk about. We could talk about everything else, but at the end of the day, what's up when the doors close? Like, how you really feeling inside? Like,
Hmm.
what's really going through your mental type thing? And I
Yeah.
think that's something like you said when you got to really know people. Those are the real conversations that need to be had. Those are the real dialogues that need to be
Yep.
discussed overall. Because yo, like, because once you get started, it's like not necessarily it's too late, but like you said, that's also why marriages fail. And I know we spoke about it as well. I think a lot of people get in these situations without truly knowing a person, and obviously, even with that people grow and people change, and
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. But when you don't know people behind the scenes, and then like obviously they have things they're dealing with, like even yourself included, and you don't know like yo like this is the reason why I'm this way. This is the reason I'm not this way, and now it affects the whole relationship. And I think another thing with that is that's why also people stay in marriages at the same time they get in them because it's like you got in a marriage, but you already been unhappy, and then now you're looking for happiness or substance in here. But it's like the real thing, excuse me, the real thing is inside that you
Yeah.
haven't dealt with.
Yep.
Yeah. So also with that being said, I want to say, what's the time when you had like recent or even old where you have a story of like evolving through experience? Obviously, your whole life is
Mm.
evolving through experience, but
Yeah.
let's just give like a
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah. That's a good question, bro. I would say, I mean, most recently, if I wanted to just keep it recent, I would say just, I think for me, I've been blocking out the noise a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, there's certain things, I guess, how I say, like, I think sometimes, I guess for me, I thought certain things deserve reactions when they
Mm-hmm.
really didn't.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
for me, it's like I kind of don't really give a lot of stuff any leeway or
Mm-hmm.
kind of give a lot of stuff any reaction. I think that's
Yeah.
a growth moment that us everyone can go through, and I think for myself that's been one of my most recent growths. It's like, hey, certain things happen,
Mm-hmm.
don't even give them the energy or the emotion or the reaction that you think they might deserve, you know what I'm
Nah,
saying? So
facts.
yeah.
No, I'm glad you said that because I know I know one of the stories you're talking about.
Mhm.
Obviously, somebody did something on your platform, and we're gonna get to BWSO,
Mhm.
and it's like they came at you the wrong way, and you reacted a certain way. Although that's not even your normal character, but it's like they got you out of your character to some degree. I don't know if you agree
Mhm.
with that,
Yeah.
but and then it wound up messing you up with other things that you really enjoy doing with other brands or whatnot. So
Mhm.
like even that, I know that's a prime example.
Nah, nah, you're right.
Yeah. And then with that being said, it's like even I'm glad you said that because that's something I'm also doing, trying to do better at. Because you obviously know a recent situation with my son and the whole
Yeah.
situation, and like I'm ready to go full out.
Yeah.
Like I already contacted attorneys, all that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like trying to balance it out and not make things happen out of emotion. Because I know
Mhm.
sometimes I think we all guilty of it, like acting off emotion, and then after the fact, you see like dang, it wasn't even worth it. You
Yeah,
feel
it
me?
wasn't
Like
worth
that
it.
whole situation wasn't even worth it.
Yeah.
But it wound up messing you up. But at the same time, it's not necessarily mess you up. It just made you learn something
Yeah.
because obviously it could have been way worse. Like even with all situations, we could have acted out emotion. We seen it like people act out emotion now they dead or in jail for the rest of their life.
Mhm.
So it's like our small situations, quote unquote, it still affects us, but it's not affecting us where we taking our freedom away. You feel me?
Yeah. Mhm.
So I think that's super important at the end
Yep.
of the day. So, what I also want to talk about as far as like, do you feel like you sugarcoat anything with your kids?
Nah,
Mm-hmm.
man. Nah, not at all. I think I keep it just totally real with
Mm-hmm.
them, and that's my goal, bro. Is to not sugarcoat anything from them, because I
Yeah.
think sometimes kids can be privileged and sheltered, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is dangerous.
Yeah. Agree. 1,000
Because
percent.
privilege and sheltered leads to curious and mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
So when you privilege them and you shelter them, that means you close them off to what the real world is like. Because I think as a
Agree.
parent, you want to protect them from what the world is, but at the reality, your job as a parent, yes, it is to protect them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also to enlighten them too.
Mm-hmm.
So like even if you take a look at what happened in Tennessee, unfortunately there was some kids that were killed this past week.
Yeah.
It would be wrong of you to not show your kids that.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why it'd be wrong of you
Which could
because
also be hurtful.
you know what I'm saying could be hurtful
Yeah.
because if they don't know that these things are happening,
Mm-hmm.
what would they do? What would they do if they got into a situation like that?
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Or how would they not be able to maybe you not showing them might
Mm-hmm.
cause them to miss certain signs. So I
Agree.
think having those conversations with your kids about things that happen in the world are like super important.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure you probably agree. Those are hard conversations too. Because imagine having to show your kids or any situation,
Yeah.
kids getting killed. It's like, how do you navigate these conversations? And like, I know it's a
Hmm.
process because I'm sure you probably still figuring out. I'm still trying to figure out. So how
Yeah.
do you feel
Some
like the best way that's worked for you so far to navigate these
I
type of
think it's just like really being like, and it depends on their age too. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? My
yeah,
son, he's 2, so it's like he ain't gonna understand. My
yeah,
daughter, she'll understand a little bit
mm-hmm,
more. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's about having the conversations little by little, and not putting out too much, right?
mm-hmm,
Like you're gonna have a different conversation with a kid that's 15 versus a kid that's 5.
Agree.
So I think it's about making the conversation age appropriate
Okay. No,
and,
I
and,
agree.
and to their understanding.
Makes sense breaking it down for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I just want to transition to BWSO. Like I said, evolving through experience is about growth in every aspect. Like in every aspect you could think of,
Mm-hmm.
living, thinking, eating, and just growing for the better, evolving through experience in every aspect, whatever that means to you, but obviously more on the intangible side. Because we could
Yeah.
talk about the physical all day, but we talk about the spiritual, and like mental. Those are the biggest ones. So as far as BWSO, before we get into the details of like
Mm-hmm.
what it exactly is, what made you start BWSO? Although I know like to some degree, but like what's the other side of like why you started BWSO and you named it BWSO?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy because even when I was starting it, I guess I really didn't realize how really big it would become,
Mm-hmm.
or I never, I guess, and for those that may not know what BWSO stands for, it's Black Wall Street Originals. So the name really came from, like, if you look at black people, we're really the original people of the earth. You know, as
Mm-hmm.
much as discredited as we might try to get or whatever, but you know, everything leads back to black people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Every person on this earth comes from a black person,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's scientifically proven. We could look at it.
In a dominant
So
gene.
like it just is what it is. But also, black people were the first people that were ever traded on the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that a lot of people don't know, right? So
Yep.
black people were the original commodity, were the original trade, right? So it's really our birthright, if we're gonna really be honest, for us
Fact.
to be in the stock market and,
Mm-hmm.
and own stocks and
Correct.
to own companies. It's really our birthright. So for me, when it comes to, you know, the stock market and why I started, you know, BWSO, I started BWSO because I felt like Black Wall Street Originals was something that was needed, right?
Yeah.
How many
Agree.
conversations are we having about stocks, options,
Facts.
trading, investing, and like how many conversations are we having? And so I was in college, you know, and I'm like, you know, what's the number one thing that I'm hearing from my peers
Mm-hmm.
in college? You know, I'm hearing from them that, hey, you know, I'm struggling financially. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to make my financial aid quota. Or they might not be struggling financially, but they might be struggling with time
Mm-hmm.
because they're having to work plus go to school,
Yeah.
which is hell. You know, for
Yeah.
most college students, you working 2-3 jobs, but
Life.
you still got two, three
Facts.
papers due at
Yeah.
midnight.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I looked at it was like, and I started to, at that point when I was in college, I started trading, making money. So it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much like for me, everyone was kind of like, dang, Lawrence, you don't work no
Yeah.
more. So people just see me. I was just doing school, finishing my schoolwork,
Yeah.
chilling,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I felt like, hey, what if I can impact other people like that?
Facts.
You know, what if I can impact people in my immediate circle? So I called a meeting, you know, BWSO wasn't even the name yet. I
Yeah.
had to come up with a name,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it was about 6 people in my dorm room. Um, Two of those people were just at the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Gigi and Karai.
Okay.
They were just at the wedding. They were part of the two. I had another friend, Odyssey, and then I had about 3 guys that came through. And you know, it started like there,
Mm-hmm.
literally in my dorm living room. Next thing I know, the next meeting I had 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
The next meeting I had 20. Then the next time I walked on campus, I had probably at least a good 10, 15 people ask me, hey, when's the next meeting?
Yeah.
Then it got to the point where I had 40 people in my dorm room and I'm having to tell people, hey, no more can come in.
Yeah.
It's
Facts.
full.
Facts.
So, and then I ended up landing a contract with Clayton State University, the school I was attending at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I now had an office in financial aid and I was pretty much teaching stock
Mm-hmm.
market investing to the students there.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much how I got started. And you know, I came up with the name over time. As it just, you know, made
Came
sense
to
to
you.
me.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said it. Like you said, it came. It just came to you. You didn't like. You didn't force it. You just allowed the
It
pretty
happened
much. Yeah,
naturally.
it happened naturally, and I think that's the best way. And that's kind of like what evolving through experience. Why I even named it that, because it's like we evolve. Like obviously, it's so much things that we haven't even got into that you overcame, that I overcame, people in general overcame.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like evolving is a continuous process. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's not like you evolve today and then tomorrow, like, all right, no issues is gonna bother you at all. It's like life continues
Yeah.
to go on, so it's a continuous process, and that's why I asked that. And I think it's so dope, like, because obviously from being in BWSO and you making everybody read Fred McCallum book, and like once I read that book, I even understood why you named it BWSO even more. And I seen a correlation because obviously when the candle patterns, like obviously it's like depending on what color you want to put them, but they made blacks go down. Like black is means it's going down. And it's just like that's kind of funny how y'all did black going down, but white means
It's
going
going
up.
up.
So
Yeah.
it's just like cool. I peeped the game, but like you said, we were the originals that's ever traded or whatnot, and in general. So at the end of the day, it's a matter of like I seen that correlation. So as far as college though, I know we speak about this all the time. Like, what advice do you give to a college student right now? Obviously, we know we both left school
Hmm.
because we got a bigger vision, whether people agree with it, see it or not,
Hmm.
and then also having results to back it up. It's more of what could you give to a college student that's only been forced or only been pushed college, 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 knowing that
Yeah.
college you graduate and it's like you still not making any money and
You
it's like
ain't
you
guaranteed
struggling.
nothing.
There's nothing's guaranteed. So, what advice could you give to a college student on that
Yeah,
end?
man. I would say, yo, the relationships that I developed in college were
Mm-hmm.
monumental in my
Mm-hmm.
development. So I know a lot of people like bash college.
Yeah.
I think college is really good for everyone to go to,
Mm-hmm.
whether you even finish or not.
Yeah.
I even think that even if you go to college for let's say
I'm glad you
two
said that.
years and
Mm-hmm.
don't finish, I think yo that because during those 2 years, the reason you might not be finishing is because you might have developed so many
Mm-hmm.
relationships. You might have really figured out what you
You
actually
want to
want to
do.
do. You might have developed some sort of business, some sort
Mm-hmm.
of niche, some sort of passion
Facts.
during that 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I think college is good is because it gets you away from home,
Yeah.
right? So it kind of allows you to build up a sense of individuality,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really good for those kids that might have been sheltered too.
Yeah.
And like you said, hey, just go to college for this, just go to college for that. Like think about how many girls we probably know that their moms probably told them, hey, go to college and be a
Mm-hmm.
nurse, and they
Mm-hmm.
probably didn't want to do that.
Yeah. It wasn't
But
where
then
their
they
heart
went to
is.
college. They went to college and figured out another passion that they
Mm-hmm.
had, and now they're a realtor or something
Yeah.
like. You know what I'm saying? Like there's different things that I think that college can be beneficial for me.
Agree.
I would never. I look at my college experience, yo, as honestly a great thing
Mm-hmm.
because the people that I met, the connections that I made, the personal development that I had, and even if I look at my life right now, my personal trainer,
Mm-hmm.
I met him in college. He did my freshman convocation, the speech. Um,
Yeah. He tried to kill us the other week.
you know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a lot of relationships that I have from college
Mm-hmm.
that I still have today. So I can do nothing but really just speak
Thankful.
highly of it.
Yeah. No.
So I would say to anybody that's in college right now, maximize your experience.
I'm glad you said that because I'm guilty of. I feel like before I was bashing college, but I feel like obviously that's from my experience, not to make excuses. I feel like I bashed college like obviously years ago
Mhm.
because one, I feel like before I even got there, I feel like it was being forced on me, but it's like I knew I had a different path that I want to take. It was like I had the car, I just didn't have the gas yet. I just didn't know
Yeah.
which direction, but I knew it was always going to be more.
But
And then
college is
obviously,
kind of that push though.
yeah.
Cause like even me, like I was pushed into college and this and that, but it
Mm-hmm.
was like I said, man,
Thankful now though.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? College it was super important,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's even super important to even expose you to the reality of like, yo,
Yeah.
I think me going to college and realizing while I was sitting in a classroom that, yo, when I graduate here, I'm not
$100,000 in
guaranteed
debt.
nothing.
Yeah.
But I
To
also
debt.
blame high school though too,
Mm-hmm.
because the way that high school markets college, high
Mm-hmm.
school markets college is if you go to college, you're guaranteed to get something.
Yeah. It's
Where I
not.
think people would, if they weren't taught that in high school, they would come into college with a different mindset.
Agree. 1,000%.
Like I'm gonna be real. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think in high school that we were ever taught to go to college and network.
No.
We were
Definitely
really
not.
taught to go to college, stick to study, don't go to
Degree.
parties,
Yeah.
and just get good grades and
Yep.
then go get a job.
Yep.
I think if more places taught, hey, go to college, network with
Mm-hmm.
people, join clubs, organizations,
Mm-hmm.
go to your financial aid office and actually build a relationship,
Yeah.
go to your career office, build a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like the career counselor there, have a relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that you can get smart. Like,
Yeah.
bro, the list goes on, but you're
Nah.
not taught that.
Agree.
You're just taught going past the test, get good grades,
Yep.
you know,
Which is intentional, of course.
and which is important,
Mm-hmm.
and get that piece of paper,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be good. But it's like, yo, it's like we know so many people that have bachelor's degrees
Mm-hmm.
and are not doing anything in their field.
I know people with PhDs and telling me they still in $200,000 with in debt and like you said and still not in their field. So it's like you in $200,000 worth of debt. you're not making
And you're a
even half that
doctor.
in a
You're a
year,
doctor
and you
now.
got a doctor, and it's just like,
And
and
still
not to
people,
bash them, but it's just like, bro, this is what I was seeing prior to going to
yeah,
school. So it's like, if this all I'm seeing, how can I see anything different? Like, why would I want to
yeah.
continue to go that route? And also with that being said, it was just like knowing like I said, obviously before it was more like a bash on college, but with evolving and growing, it's like, okay, I think college is great, definitely for the networking, the resource you can get from there. But I think it's also people got to know what they're going to college for before going. I think
Because you
that
can
it's
get that
intentional.
out. You
Yeah,
can nowadays you can get that outside of college.
yeah, and
Because
I
there's
like you
so many
said,
different
yeah,
events that are happening.
mm-hmm,
There's so many different things. So you can get that experience without college now too.
exactly. Agreed. And I think from even from like you said, middle school, but let's even take it a little step back further, like elementary school. I feel like obviously since kids, he was like, oh, you could do whatever you want to do, but it's like I think people just say that, but don't really tell kids like you can do whatever you really want to do,
Yeah.
like whatever you want, and really
Because you
actually
feel
make a
like the
living
two
off of it.
you feel like
Yeah.
the two choices you have is
Mm-hmm.
college or military.
Yeah.
Most
That part.
times they're not.
You ever thought
What?
about going to the military?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I felt like that at one point.
I mean,
Yeah, before
I
college, I'm
yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah.
I don't want to go to school because, like I said, and I also think when you force something on somebody, it kind of pushed them away. And it's like, obviously, I definitely, I ain't gonna get into the military talk, but yeah, I didn't want to go to the military, but I'm like, I don't want to go to college. It's like I
Yeah.
want to do what I want to do. I want to figure out life for me, and like I think that's always been me, like not intentionally rebellious, but it's just like I got my own thought process, my own path that I want to take, and I don't want nobody trying to tell me how to take it.
Name one successful person that did something the popular way.
None. Now I could think of that just did it what how they was told.
Yeah.
None.
That's
Yeah,
why I always do everything the opposite.
yeah,
Because if you look at all the successful people, they always did things the
their way.
unpopular way.
Yeah,
They figured out a way to do it unpopular.
exactly.
Yep.
And I think that's what I had to do, and it's just
Yeah.
like what I wanted to do. I didn't want nobody, like I said, to pretty much be telling me how to do it. But like you said, to nobody really successful that's worth keeping it, done it the way that they was quote unquote told. Who your favorite artist?
Favorite like
Music artist wise, yeah. I don't think I've asked you that. I know we talk about music a lot.
right now, currently, or just like all time?
All time and then currently.
It's crazy because I think they're both starting to become one and the same.
Mm.
I think he's elevating. Like I really rock with like Little Baby, super
Yeah.
heavy.
Nah, facts.
I just think the reason why I rock with Little Baby, and I don't think that maybe he like when I say like maybe like my favorite, I don't think I want to make something clear. I don't think Little Baby's the best rapper of all time.
Mhm.
Definitely not.
Yeah, no, I got you.
But I do think that for me, he's my favorite person, rapper altogether, just because when I listen to him, it's just like gives motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's never a time like that I think I'm listening to Little Baby that I'm thinking about going doing something negative or nothing like that. I just get like, yo, it don't matter your situation, just focus on coming up.
Exactly.
And like the hustle don't stop type
Facts.
mentality and
I don't need no
mindset.
sleep.
And I think that mood that he kind of puts me in is something like a little bit different. Like
Yeah.
you don't really get no party vibes from like Little Baby. Like I think you just get
Yeah,
really like,
that's
yo,
a hustle.
you're like hustle. I gotta
Yeah.
go run a bag up. I need to
Facts.
go run an M up. Like
Yeah.
that's the
Phew.
mentality that I get.
Yeah.
So he ain't really talking too much about drugs. He just
Yeah.
kind of talking about, hey, the hustle,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just what you got to do.
Yeah, and I seen that evolution, and the reason I
And
asked
he
you
didn't
that,
start like that.
yeah,
too.
yeah, and but we seen how much he has grown too,
Yeah.
and I think that's like I said, that's what evolving through experience is in every aspect. And the reason I asked you that because it's like now, obviously in a place where I'm at in life, and obviously you're at in life, like it's always about growth. And I know to some people that's like, oh, that's you doing too much, but to say, baby's talking about substance. I can't listen to music no more that's just talking about killing people. Like one, I'm not trying to go kill nobody.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put that energy around me at
Yeah.
all or even around my family. So it's
Yeah.
like seeing that transition, just mentally making them changes and growing. It's like I want to
Yeah.
listen to something that's going to inspire
I
me.
want to listen to
Just
something
gonna
that's
push me.
push me.
Yeah. It's like ain't no point in listening to that other stuff. Everything has to be substance. So that's why I asked you, because I figured I feel you was gonna say baby, because obviously we was turning up the baby just for the wedding, but it's like you said, top priority, like staying focused.
Like, come on,
Yeah.
bro. He got a song named Top Priority. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's just like, I mean, and I just feel like, and he talks about his kids pretty much in
Facts.
almost all his
That
songs.
part.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's important.
Mhm.
You know, him being a young father, I'm a young father. I just think there's a lot to relate to.
Yeah, agree for sure. And I think that's what anything. I think it's easier to like listen to it when you can relate to it. I can't relate to killing nobody,
Yeah, I
so I
can't
don't want to
relate
listen
to
to
none
that.
of that.
So with that being said, also as far as like what advice could you give for people that's co-parenting? Like I said, we obviously know what you do.
Hmm.
Obviously, a lot of people know what you do, but and they let I want to evolve through experiences about seeing that other side of like really growth, the intangibles
Hmm.
that people need to know. So like, what's your advice to anybody that's co-parenting
Hmm.
from your experience?
Yeah, bro. I just think for me, like when it comes to co-parenting, it's just like really see what the other parent may need, like
Mm-hmm.
in assistance wise. For me, I just try to. I feel like I'm the easiest to deal with. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of let me know what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
What areas you want me to, take over. Like whatever, whatever needs to be
Mm-hmm.
done. Whether it's getting them extra time or
Mm-hmm.
picking them up from school, whatever, shoot, I just had
Yeah.
to run the other day. My daughter had an accident
Yeah.
at school
I
and
remember
needed
you
to go
told me.
take
Yeah.
clothes.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like, man, I just think it's a lot easier said than done, but it's just really just the
Facts.
communication, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also leaving I guess I would say maybe the pride and ego alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think us as men, we control a lot of things like when it comes to arguments, like and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like certain arguments don't need to happen.
Yeah. Nah. Facts.
Certain arguments will not happen if you just kind of like. For me, it's just like, I'm an easygoing person. Just let me
Mm-hmm.
know what needs to be
Yeah.
done. I'm not really the person that's really with the drama, yelling,
Mm-hmm.
screaming, all that.
Unnecessary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It's
it's
just
just
waste energy.
about the kids, man.
Nah, I'm glad you said that, and because I think so many people need that advice. And at the end of the day, and like, when I say people, like said, this is not just for everybody else, but I'm learning from this too. Like this entire process, life experience, co-parenting, all of that. So I think I'm glad you said that. And also with that being said, as far as like you said, avoid arguments. You know how sometimes I don't think we should always compare, but it's like even when we do have our differences, and I think no matter even if you are parenting and then co-parenting, you're gonna have your differences. So that's already a fact. But it's like I know stories where the mother then drove over the father. So it's like we see these experiences like this gives me like yo like if we could work through this like we ain't even nowhere near that end of the
Hmm.
spectrum. And it's just like if we see that, like, let's make sure we don't even start moving towards that or constant arguments. Like, let's see how, like you said, work together and
Yeah,
like easy to communicate with.
yeah,
Whatever you need, just let me know and we could go from there type thing. So yeah,
yep,
so hey, that's vital. And like I said, I just think people got to know more of that as far as on like the parenting in general, but also co-parenting.
yep.
I know you kind of already answered this question, but I ain't asked it directly. Like, so what does evolving through experience mean to you?
Yeah, I think for me, evolving through experience really means to me is just like the experiences that you go through, you just
Mm-hmm.
become a better person overall, and you're just evolving. So you're gonna go through changes in life through every experience that you
Mm-hmm.
have, um, and you just want to make the best of those. I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's just about really just staying positive, man. I think a lot of times we get caught up in the negative things that happen in life,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of like those are just lessons for you to come back and come back stronger from.
Facts.
So yep.
Okay. But nah, I definitely appreciate it, bro. Obviously, I know this is one of the first episodes coming back with evolving through experience. And before I even get to there, I just want to say like, I'm happy to have you on as one of the first guests, bro.
For
Honestly,
sure.
I really mean that because when I'm picking guests, it's like obviously or people just around me in general. It has to be people that
Hmm.
I appreciate and that inspire me in some way. And at the end of the day, it's like a mutual beneficial. It's just like
Yeah.
I can learn something and give value at the same
Yeah.
time.
One
It's
hundred percent.
and it's a different aspect.
Yeah.
So what do you manifest before I even finish it and get to like what's evolving through experience closing? What's something like you manifested and then you seen it happen faster than
Really,
expected?
really, when I made my first $1 million,
Mm-hmm.
it happened a lot faster than
When did
expected.
when did you expect to make the first M?
Honestly, bro, I didn't expect to make it till really like 2022,
Okay.
and then it happened in like towards the end of 2020.
Okay. Cool. Hey, well, definitely big congrats
Yeah.
on that.
So I was
Yeah.
manifesting that like 2017,
Mm-hmm.
2018. So I'm thinking like 4 or 5 years. I was thinking by the time I was to be real, that actually it happened, and then obviously the market went down.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So
Obviously,
it was
yeah.
kind of like very brief.
But that ain't affect you. Let's
Yeah,
go on record and say
yeah,
that ain't
yeah, yeah.
affect
So it
you.
was
So
very
as you know,
brief, and
yeah.
then it went back up. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say that I was saying by like 22,
Mm-hmm.
20, like 22, 23. I wanted it to happen, and it kind of happened in like at
You
21.
put that energy out
Yeah.
there. Nah, facts. I'm glad you said
Yeah.
that. So now it made me ask this question. Obviously, people always see the W's and they don't understand behind the scenes. So let's talk about a time when you lost, not obviously not a million, but you lost a large amount of money. I think we spoke about monies that's been lost. So like, let's talk about that. And how much was it? Did you lose?
Like six figures.
Six.
It's
Okay.
part of the process,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially once your net worth gets up to a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like it's impossible for it to not fluctuate
Mhm.
six figures.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Whether it's even to the upside or downside.
Mm-hmm.
Like once your net worth gets up to a certain point, it's kind of like hard for it not to
Yeah.
move that way. So
How did that affect you? 'Cause
I
I
think
can't even imagine, but
yeah, I think
we ain't there
mentally,
yet. Almost, we getting closer to a meal.
I think it's I think it's different if you come from nothing.
Mm.
I think if you always had it, it would be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we grew up,
Yeah.
if we grew up at 5 years old and we knew we was rich,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't really mean
Yeah,
that
nothing
much.
at all. Yeah.
But if you went from being at 0 or at 10,000 or 20,000, and then you went up to like let's just say like 1.3 million, but then you went to 1.1 million,
Mm-hmm.
there would be some psychological effects because of
Agreed.
how far you came. You get what I'm saying?
Nah, for sure.
So it just depends. I feel like it depends on where you started at.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you already started rich,
Yeah, it ain't
for you to
gonna
lose six figures is like kind of like
That's
nothing.
like, yeah.
But if you started off broke and didn't have nothing, it's gonna be a different feel if you start to
Mhm.
see a little bit of it slipping. So it just
Makes
depends.
sense.
Yeah.
Nah, and again, like it's the fact you said that I'm thankful for it because, like, not saying you're thankful that you lost it, obviously, but obviously you went through that, so we ain't got to go through that because obviously I never lost six figures in a short period of time because that was a short period of time or overtime. Like, it's probably a short period of time, obviously.
Yeah, shorter period.
So obviously I didn't lose six figures, but half of that I've lost like 50 bands in like in a short period of time, and it's just like psychologically, it's like, dang, like really damn, like yo, like how did I do this? And I feel like I hold myself accountable, and accountability is a big thing for me. It's like, what could I have done differently? And it's like, do you feel like you could have done something different, or do you feel like you have that mental balance? Like, did I mess up? But at the
I
same
don't
time,
think
it's
there
like,
was anything
yeah.
really I could have done differently.
Okay.
I think it was just part of the process,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nah, facts. And like you said, you learn from it, and I think that's with anything.
Yep.
So again, y'all, this is one of the first episodes. I'm thankful to have my brother Lawrence on. This episode is sponsored by Kendrick and Darian, my brothers. I greatly appreciate y'all. Just showing love. Like I said, I brought this back now, although I had it since 2018. It's like I started focusing on other things. This wasn't paying bills or bringing me a substantial amount of money that I needed or wanted at the time. So it's just like I kept putting this on the back burner. But this is about passion. This is about lifestyle, all the above. This is a purpose at the end of the day with Evolving Through Experience. Like,
Yes,
we're not just talking about music. We're not just talking about sports, and no disrespect to anybody. I think those are great examples and things we could talk about. But let's talk about how the intangibles in those situations can really substantially move somebody else forward or inspire somebody, no matter where they come from or what they overcame in life. So yeah, like I said, shout out to them. Where can people follow you at? All that.
So they can
Put that
follow
out.
me on Instagram, MrLawrence.e. Yep, Mr. Lawrence.
And you on Twitter too, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
same Twitter.
Same Twitter. Okay, cool. Obviously y'all know Evolve Through Experience on all platforms, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, and TikTok. At the end of the day, we gonna be putting this episode out real soon. Y'all could definitely support the brand, shop the brand at evolvingthroughexperience.com. And the reason this is different from any other brand and why I feel I'm in my own lane is because Evolve Through Experience, when you shop, it's not just shopping and getting a branded clothing or whatever. It's like, I got a project that I started under this, and I'll go into this on another episode, but I started a project Prevail to pretty much also, like with every sale, I'm giving back to somebody in need. And when I say in need, because obviously we know we got American Red Cross, and I'll go on record saying that, where they'll get 10 million and only give out 100,000 to help. So it's like, y'all just got donated 10 million, and you know it's tax free, and you tell me you only gave 100,000 back. So it's like, nah, like I don't want to be the person to be like, oh, we always complain about it. It's like, all right, cool. Now people could support, and then now I could make sure we get 10 million. We giving 55 to 6 million back to really help people forward, and it's just gonna come back around at the end of the day. So yeah, make sure y'all follow Evolving Through Experience. Y'all can shop the brand. And appreciate it, bro. Glad to have you on.